Script: Hezbollah attack on Israel, 180 rockets fired and Israeli troops deployed to Lebanon. Scene 1. Intro: urgent breaking news. Opening with dramatic breaking news graphics and intense footage of rockets being launched and explosions in the distance. Tense, urgent music plays in the background. Text on screen: Hezbollah fires 180 rockets at Israel, Israeli troops deployed to Lebanon. Host: serious, urgent tone. Good evening. We begin with breaking news from the Middle East as tensions between Hezbollah and Israel have escalated to a new and dangerous level. Earlier today, Hezbollah launched 180 rockets into northern Israel, marking one of the most significant escalations in recent years. In response, Israel has begun deploying additional troops to the Lebanese border, intensifying the conflict and raising concerns of a broader regional war. Scene 2. Footage of rocket attacks. Show dramatic footage of rockets being fired from Lebanon toward Israel, followed by scenes of explosions and smoke rising over northern Israeli towns. Host narrating over footage: the situation rapidly escalated as Hezbollah militants fired a barrage of rockets targeting northern Israel. The cities of Haifa, Nahariya, and surrounding areas came under intense fire, triggering air raid sirens and sending residents rushing to bomb shelters. Israeli defense forces scrambled to intercept the rockets with the Iron Dome missile defense system, though several strikes caused damage to buildings and infrastructure. Scene 3. Israel's response: troops deployed. Footage of Israeli military vehicles and troops moving towards the Lebanese border, armored tanks rolling through roads, and soldiers preparing for potential ground operations. Host: serious, composed. In retaliation, the Israeli government has not only launched airstrikes targeting Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon, but has also sent additional ground forces to the border. The Israeli Defense Forces (IDF) have confirmed that troops are being mobilized for potential ground operations to neutralize Hezbollah's rocket launch sites and prevent further attacks on Israeli territory. Scene 4. Historical context and escalating tensions. Show images and footage from previous conflicts between Hezbollah and Israel, including the 2006 Lebanon War, while overlaying maps of the region. Host: calm, informative. This latest round of violence comes amid growing tensions between Israel and Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group backed by Iran. The two sides have a long history of hostility, with the most notable conflict being the 2006 Lebanon War, which resulted in thousands of casualties on both sides. Since then, both Israel and Hezbollah have been preparing for what many fear could be an inevitable second war, a war that now appears closer than ever. Scene 5. Humanitarian impact. Footage of civilians in both Israel and Lebanon, including families in bomb shelters and people fleeing border areas. Show Red Cross workers and emergency personnel responding to the crisis. Host: empathetic, serious. The escalating violence has caused widespread fear and disruption on both sides of the border. Thousands of residents in northern Israel have been forced to take shelter, while in southern Lebanon, civilians are bracing for potential airstrikes and ground combat. Humanitarian organizations have warned that a full-scale conflict could displace tens of thousands of people and lead to a significant humanitarian crisis in the region. Scene 6. International response. Clips of world leaders addressing the situation, including statements from the United Nations, United States, and European Union. Footage of diplomats and military advisors. Host: professional. The international community has reacted with growing concern. The United Nations has called for immediate de-escalation, urging both sides to avoid a broader conflict. Meanwhile, the United States and European Union have condemned the rocket attacks, backing Israel's right to defend itself, while also pushing for diplomatic efforts to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. Regional powers, including Iran and Saudi Arabia, are closely monitoring the developments, adding another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. Scene 7. Analyst perspective. Future escalation. Cut to an interview with a military analyst or Middle East expert discussing the possible future developments and what a further escalation could mean for the region. Military analyst: serious. This conflict has the potential to escalate rapidly, especially with Hezbollah's substantial rocket arsenal and Israel's military capabilities. Both sides are well prepared for an extended conflict, but the question now is whether we are seeing the start of a full-scale war, or if diplomatic efforts can still contain the situation. A war of this magnitude could have far-reaching consequences, not just for Israel and Lebanon, but for the entire Middle East. Scene 8. Closing statement. Final shots of the Israel-Lebanon border, with military activity and civilians affected by the conflict. Host somber, urgent. Tonight, the region stands on the brink of a dangerous new phase in the long-running conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. As the situation continues to develop, the world watches anxiously, hoping for restraint but preparing for the possibility of a much larger conflict. Stay tuned for updates as we continue to cover this unfolding story. Text on screen. Stay informed. Subscribe for real-time updates. Scene 9. Outro. Soft, serious music fades in as the screen cuts to black with text. This is a developing story. More updates to follow. End of script.